Welcome to the world of science fiction where extraordinary tales come to life. Enjoy the journey. The wind howled through the skeletal remains of Drexer 7, a planet stripped bare by war. Rusted metal towers groaned under the weight of time, and the air smelled of ozone and decay. Beneath the shadow of a fallen starship, Lyra Vex tightened the bolts on a scavenged thruster, her hands black with grease. She was the last human anyone had seen in 40 cycles. Her skin was pale under the twin suns, her dark hair tied back with a strip of frayed wire. Humans were rare now, mythical even. Most aliens assumed they'd gone extinct after the Great Purge, when the Zorathi Dominion wiped out Earth's colonies. But Lyra, she'd survived, not by fighting, by hiding. A shadow fell over her workspace. "You're the mechanic." The voice was guttural, layered with the clicking undertones of a Krillian accent. Lyra didn't look up. Depends on who's asking. The alien, a hulking Krillian mercenary, slammed a cracked fuel injector onto her workbench. "Fix this. Now." She wiped her hands on her pants. Costs extra for rush jobs. The mercenary's 4 eyes narrowed. "You don't understand. My employer is Corveth the Eternal." Lyra froze. Corveth, the warlord who glassed 3 systems for defiance. The butcher who collected rare species like trophies. And now he knew about her. She forced a smirk. "Tell your boss I charge double for tyrants." The mercenary snarled, but before he could react, Lyra slammed her wrench into his knee. As he crumpled, she bolted into the ruins, heart pounding. She'd survived this long by staying invisible. But Corveth, he didn't hunt unless the prey was worth killing. And that meant he knew what she was. Not just a human, the last one who remembered how to fight back. The Krillian mercenary's ship was a rusted beast of jagged metal and flickering thrusters, its hull scarred from countless battles. Lyra's wrists were bound in biocuffs, their living fibers tightening every time she struggled. The alien dragged her through the ship's narrow corridors, past rows of chained prisoners, Tarkin miners, Veln refugees, even a skeletal Dreveri scholar. Their hollow eyes followed her. "They think I'm already dead." The mercenary shoved her into a dimly lit chamber. At its center stood Corveth the Eternal. He was taller than legend suggested, his obsidian exoskeleton gleaming under the ship's sickly light. 4 arms, each ending in razor-tipped claws, a face that wasn't a face, just a smooth, featureless mask, save for the glowing red slit where his mouth should be. Lyra Vex. His voice was a vibration, deep enough to rattle her bones. "The last human." She spat at his feet, flattering. "Didn't know I was famous." Corveth tilted his head. "Humans were pests. Weak. But you hid. That makes you interesting." A hologram flickered to life, an image of old Earth, its blue-green globe long extinguished. "Your species had one skill. Defiance. I want to see it before I break you." Lyra's stomach twisted. "He's not going to kill me. He's going to make a show of it." The arena of dusk. They dragged her to the hollow, a crater-turned arena on Krill's dead moon. Thousands of aliens crowded the jagged cliffs, their roars shaking the dust from the sky. Corveth's voice boomed. "Behold, the final human faces the maw of Corveth." The gates opened. Out slithered Xeris the Devourer, a bioengineered horror, part serpent, part machine, its maw lined with rotating saw teeth. Lyra had no weapons, no armor, just her bare hands, and the cuffs still biting into her wrists. Xeris lunged. She rolled, barely avoiding its strike. The crowd jeered. Think. Humans didn't survive by being stronger. They survived by being smarter. Her eyes darted, broken machinery, loose rocks, the flickering arena lights. Xeris coiled for another strike. Lyra sprinted toward a dead console, ripped a sparking wire free, and whipped it at Xeris's eyes. The beast screeched, blinded. The crowd fell silent. Corveth leaned forward. Lyra didn't hesitate. She jumped onto Xeris's back, wrapped the biocuffs around its throat, and yanked. The cuffs, designed to tighten under strain, sank into Xeris's flesh. The beast thrashed, then collapsed. Silence. Then the crowd erupted. Corvath stood. "You fight like a human." Lyra wiped blood from her lip. "You mean I fight dirty?" The warlord's mask split into a grin of jagged light. "Good. I'll enjoy breaking you tomorrow." The whisper in the dark. That night in her cell, a small Veln child slipped her a shard of metal, a broken data chip. "The others say you are the last," the child whispered. "This belonged to a human before you." Lyra activated it. A holographic message flickered. A man in a tattered Earth Force uniform. "If anyone finds this, humanity's last weapon is hidden in the ruins of Epsilon's site. Corvath can't know. He fears it." The transmission died. Lyra clenched the chip. Epsilon site. The one place Corvath's ships never patrolled. The one place no one came back from. The Veln child's warning burned in Lyra's mind as she crouched in the ventilation ducts of Corvath's warship. The data chip's message played on a loop in her thoughts. Humanity's last weapon is hidden in the ruins of Epsilon site. She had two problems. Escape the ship. Find Epsilon site before Corvath realized she knew its secret. The escape. The ship's alarms blared. Corvath's forces were searching for her. She moved silently through the ducts, her fingers tracing the cold metal. Below her, Krillian soldiers barked orders, their heavy boots clanging against the steel floors. A vent cover gave way beneath her grip. She dropped into a storage bay, landing in a crouch. Crates of weapons lined the walls. Perfect. She grabbed a plasma cutter and a stolen comms unit, then slipped into the shadows just as two guards rounded the corner. "The human's gone," one growled. "Corvath wants her alive. He said as she knows something." Lyra's pulse spiked. They already suspect. She waited until they passed, then jammed the plasma cutter into the ship's auxiliary power conduit. Sparks erupted, plunging the corridor into darkness. "Go," she hissed to herself, sprinting toward the hangar bay. The stolen ship. The hangar was chaos. Technicians scrambled to repair fighters, their backs turned. Lyra ducked behind a scout vessel, its engine still warm. No time for subtlety. She jumped into the cockpit, her fingers flying over the controls. The ship's AI flickered to life. "Unauthorized access detected," it droned. "Override. Omega-7 human." Lyra snapped. A pause. Then, voice print recognized. "Welcome, Lieutenant Vex." Her breath caught. This was an Earth Force ship. The engines roared to life. Alarms wailed. "Stop here." A Krillian guard lunged, but Lyra punched the thrusters. The ship screamed out of the hangar, barely missing the closing bay doors. Behind her, Corvath's warship turned its guns toward her. She dove into the asteroid field, letting the debris scatter the pursuing fighters. Epsilon site. The coordinates led her to a dead planet, its surface scarred by ancient orbital strikes. A single structure remained, a half-buried bunker, its entrance sealed. Lyra landed roughly, her ship's hull groaning in protest. She stepped onto the cracked earth, the wind howling around her. The bunker's door was marked with faded Earth Force insignia. She pressed her palm against the scanner. "Identity required." A mechanical voice intoned. "Lieutenant Lyra Vex, Earth Force Special Ops." A pause. Then, "Welcome back." The door slid open. Inside, the air was stale, thick with dust. The walls were lined with dead terminals, their screens dark. At the center of the room stood a single cryopod, its glass frosted over. Lyra wiped the ice away and staggered back. Inside was a man in an Earth Force uniform, his face eerily preserved. And clutched in his hands, a data core pulsing with a faint blue light. She reached for it. The moment her fingers brushed the core, the bunker's systems roared to life. A hologram exploded into the air. A woman in a commander's uniform, her eyes sharp. "If you're seeing this, humanity's war isn't over," the hologram said. "This is Project Reckoning, and you're the key to firing it." Korvath's fear. Lyra's hands trembled as the hologram explained. Project Reckoning was a sentient AI, designed to hack into any alien network and turn their own weapons against them. It was why Earth fell. Korvath feared it enough to glass the planet rather than let it be used. And now, it was in her hands. The hologram flickered. "One condition: it only activates for a human. Korvath thinks he wiped you all out. Prove him wrong." Lyra's grip tightened on the core. Outside, the ground shook. She ran to the entrance. Korvath's warship loomed in the sky, its cannons charging. "He found me." The core hummed in her hands, as if alive. "All right," Lyra whispered. "Let's show them why humans were feared." The ground trembled as Korvath's dreadnought descended, its shadow swallowing Epsilon sight. Lyra clutched the pulsing data core, Project Reckoning, as the first orbital strikes hit the ruins around her. "Activate, damn it," she hissed at the core. The holographic commander had said it would only obey a human voice. But how? A plasma blast scorched the bunker's entrance, sending molten metal spraying. Lyra dove behind a collapsed support beam, her heart hammering. Then, a whisper in her mind. Identity confirmed. Lieutenant Lyra Vex, Earth Force, awaiting orders. The core flared to life, its blue light intensifying. The AI awakens. A shockwave erupted from the core, knocking Lyra to her knees. The air itself rippled as Project Reckoning unfolded, its code slithering into the planet's dead systems. Terminals flickered. Dormant drones twitched. Even the cryopod systems reactivated, the frozen soldier inside stirring slightly. Then, Korvath's comms channel burst open. "What is this?" His voice boomed through the static. "My ships, they're not responding." Lyra grinned. "That's the sound of karma, you bastard." Above her, Korvath's fighters spun wildly, their weapons locking onto each other. One exploded, then another. The dreadnought's shield generators overloaded, sending a cascade of blue fire across its hull. Project Reckoning was hijacking his fleet. The rebellion ignites. But Korvath wasn't defenseless. His *** personal guard, genetically enhanced Krillian elites, *** stormed the bunker, their armor resistant to hacking. Lyra grabbed a fallen pulse rifle and fired, but she was outnumbered. Then, a new sound. Roars. War cries. The Veln slaves from Korvath's ship burst into the bunker, wielding stolen weapons. Leading them was the small child who had given her the data chip. "We're done kneeling," the child shrieked, driving a knife into a Krillian's thigh. Lyra didn't have time to be stunned. She joined the fray, fighting back-to-back with the rebels. Project Reckoning's voice echoed in her skull. "Directive complete. Korvath's fleet is compromised, but he has a failsafe, a manual override in his throne room." Lyra's blood ran cold. If Korvath reached it, the tide would turn. The throne room. She hijacked a Krillian dropship, its systems now loyal to her, and raced toward the dreadnought. Inside, chaos reigned. Korvath's own soldiers turned on each other, their neural implants hacked by Reckoning. Lyra sprinted through the corridors, her rifle barking. The throne room doors loomed ahead, sealed. She slammed the data core against the access panel. "Open it." The doors exploded inward. Korvath stood at his command throne, his featureless mask cracked, revealing a maw of needle teeth. "You," he snarled. "You're just a relic. A ghost." Lyra leveled her rifle. "Funny. I was gonna say the same about you." Korvath's throne room shook as explosions rippled through his crippled dreadnought. The warlord's claws flexed, his cracked mask leaking black fluid. "You think this changes anything?" His voice was a distorted snarl. "Humanity is still extinct." Lyra kept her rifle trained on him. "Funny. I'm still here." Korvath laughed, a sound like grinding metal. "No, you're just the last echo." Then, he moved, faster than anything his size should be. His claws raked across Lyra's chest, sending her crashing into the command console. Blood soaked her shirt. She gasped, but Project Reckoning's voice cut through the pain. "Lieutenant, his armor is cinched to a dead man's switch. If his heart stops, this ship detonates." Lyra's vision swam. Of course he'd rigged it. Korvath loomed over her, raising a claw for the killing blow. A gunshot rang out. The warlord staggered, a pulse round burning through his shoulder. Lyra looked past him and saw the impossible. The frozen soldier from Epsilon Site stood in the doorway, his Earth Force uniform tattered, his eyes blazing. "Miss me, sister." The brother from the ice. Korvath whirled, hissing. Another ghost. The soldier, Captain Jace Vex, Lyra's older brother, fired again, forcing Korvath back. Lyra's breath caught. Jace had died on Earth. She'd watched his ship explode. But his grin was real. Long story. Cryopod. Time dilation. "Let's kill this guy first." Korvath lunged, but Jace dodged, tossing Lyra a second pulse rifle. "You take left. I'll take right." They fought in perfect sync, like they'd trained 1,000 times before. The failsafe. Project Reckoning's voice buzzed in Lyra's ear. "There's a way to bypass Korvath's dead man switch. His armor runs on a separate network. Hack it, and we can sever the link." Lyra rolled under Korvath's swing, slamming the data core against his spine. "Do it." The core flared, its light searing through Korvath's armor. He screamed, convulsing as his systems overloaded. "Now, JACE," her brother fired. The round pierced Korvath's mask, blasting through his skull. The warlord collapsed. Silence. Then, no explosion. The ship held. The truth about Earth. Jace pulled Lyra to her feet. "We need to go. This ship's gonna blow anyway." But Lyra stared at him. "You died. I saw it." Jace's smile faded. Earth fell, but not how you think. The AI, Project Reckoning, was never a weapon. It was a backup. A way to hide us. Lyra's blood ran cold. "What?" "They lied to you," Jace said. "Earth's not gone. It's hidden. And we're going back." Epilogue. The stars remember. 1 month later, Lyra stood on the bridge of a reclaimed Krillian warship, now crewed by freed slaves and human survivors pulled from hidden cryovaults. Project Reckoning's hologram flickered beside her, course set for Earth's last known coordinates. Jace clapped her shoulder. "Ready to go home." Lyra looked at the stars, the same stars that had watched humanity fall. She grinned. "Let's remind the galaxy why they feared us."